We're just back from 2 weeks on Discovery Princess to Alaska's Inside Passage, and I'll be sharing our Alaska cruise excursions and some new tips for Alaska cruising this year and beyond. There were a lot of firsts on this trip that made our Alaska experience unique. We did something totally different pre-cruise by not staying in Seattle the night before. We booked a cabin that faced a very interesting direction, booked some bucket list shore excursions that didn't break the bank, and tried 2 different types of cruise cabins over the 2 weeks. And we booked back-to-back cruises on the same ship. I'm going to share how we like the food, and at the end, I'm also going to reveal 2 small things that I wish I could have changed about this particular cruise, and if we think those things are going to have any impact on your trip to Alaska. Since we had the Princess Premier package the first week and Princess Plus the second week, I'm going to let you know which one I liked better and why. So let's start with where we went and when. Our itinerary was exactly the same for both weeks. This was a traditional Inside Passage cruise from Seattle. We had one sea day, visited Ketchikan, Endicott Arm, and Dawes Glacier with Juneau on the exact same day, which is interesting. Then we went to Skagway, had a sea day, and then spent an evening in Victoria, and it was back to Seattle. Now, for disclosure purposes, Princess hosted us the first week, and then we paid for our cruise the second week. We took these cruises in the last 2 weeks of May, which is traditionally one of our very favorite times to cruise Alaska. It's cheaper, it's less crowded, and we usually have really good weather, and I'll let you know if all of that held true a little bit later. Let's start with the pre-cruise. We flew into Seattle early before our cruise to take in the beauty of the Pacific Northwest, and this time we decided to stay somewhere different on the shores of Lake Washington. So we've done downtown Seattle a few times, done the Space Needle, all the touristy things, and it was really fun, but we were just ready for something different. We wanted a little getaway. We wanted to really relax before our cruise. If you've done Seattle before, I highly recommend trying something different. But if it's your first cruise, you got to do the downtown thing. You got to go to the market. You got to go to the Starbucks. But for us, we were just ready to get out of the city and get that like chill vibe going. So this place that we stayed is about 10 miles from the SeaTac airport. So it's not really that remote. And it's called the Hyatt Regency Lake Washington at Seattle's Southport. It's in Renton, right on the waterfront, and it's like a little destination in and of itself. So if you're cruising out of Seattle, you can actually book this package called the Stay, Savor, and Sail package that lets you have complimentary parking and a credit to use at Water's Table, their on-site restaurant. This restaurant is so good. The views are really cool, and the cocktails are amazing. Now, down in front of the hotel, they have like these Adirondack chairs, and they're on this dock, and it makes you feel like you're at somebody's summer home. Speaking of the summertime, in the summertime down here outside, they open up this place called Dock and Drink, and they have outdoor dining, they have a food truck, they have a lively atmosphere, and everybody comes and hangs out here and does water sports and has cocktails on the weekends when it's sunny. There's a cool little path to walk around the waterfront, and the property is really family friendly. They have big guest rooms here, and they have a nearby park. We saw all kinds of ducks and geese, and it was so much fun. They have a playground too. The hotel has an indoor pool and spa, super peaceful. When the weather's a little bit chilly and you want to be indoors, that's a great place to hang out. And they have a full gym and fitness center too, which we took advantage of while we were there. The cool thing is this hotel partners with Premier. They're a Seattle-based shuttle service that can help you get around. So they can take you from the airport to the hotel, hotel to cruise port, and then at the end of the cruise, they can take you from the cruise port to the airport. And we find that Ubering in Seattle can be a little bit pricey, and down at the cruise port itself on debark day, it's actually really chaotic. So we use Premier for all 3 legs of transportation, and we loved it. I highly recommend them. And of course, I'll link to them and any other resource I mentioned today down in the description of this video. Now let's talk about the time on the ship, starting with our staterooms. We had a great time in Lake Washington that it was time to board. And for the first leg, we booked a mini suite. We were in cabin R230, and that was a traditional mini suite cabin. The second week, we had a forward-facing balcony, and that balcony, if you want to jot it down, was M102. That was a unique one. I'll get to it in a minute, but let's start with that mini suite, which was wonderful. We loved the sitting area, the space to work at the desk, and the room for 3 of us to move around comfortably. They also have a bathtub. For our family, mini suites are a great cabin category because they're not priced like a full suite, but for the 3 of us, it gives us a little bit more space to stretch our legs and to work, which is important because usually when we're cruising, we have a couple laptops with us and we need that space. We really enjoyed that week in the mini suite. The next week, we moved to M102. When we saw it in the deck plan, we're like, wait a minute, this is a really unique stateroom. It's located all the way forward, like you guys facing forward. So the bridge is the only thing that has that same view. I mean, you're seeing the ocean in front of you. What we expected was a really windy balcony, that they would lock the door and not let us go out there because of high winds. And none of that really happened. It turned out that there was some kind of a structural design with this enormous, beautiful balcony that we had that blocked the wind. Like the wind went over or under or somewhere, and it was peaceful and tranquil and absolutely gorgeous. So if you're considering a front face on Discovery Princess, I say go for it. The only downside about this particular balcony cabin is that the sofa bed, when it was pulled out at night for our son to sleep on, it blocked the balcony. So you'd have to step over it to get to the balcony, and it also blocked the refrigerator. But we booked late, so there really wasn't a lot of choice in cabins left, and there were no mini suites. For 2 people, I'd say this balcony is perfect. For 3, maybe a little bit tight, but also kind of neat and unique with those beautiful views. We enjoyed both of them, but the mini suite was definitely our favorite. I want to shift gears and talk about the Plus and Premier packages because one of the questions we get from people all the time is, should I go with Plus or should I go all the way up to Premier? So what these packages are is they're upcharge packages that Princess offers that are an incredible value that include drinks, gratuities, and a variety of other things. Premier costs $90 a day, Plus costs $60 a day. So for the first week, we tried Premier. It was $90 per day per person for the first 2 guests, I believe. Now, it includes unlimited specialty dining, all kinds of beverages, even the fancy upcharge cocktails and drinks, and all kinds of other little perks. Now, I loved this package, and it was so convenient. But here's the thing with Premier. We felt that because it offered unlimited specialty dining, that we had to go to all of the specialty restaurants almost every night. And we felt like we were full all the time. It was just a little bit too much. We didn't have to do it that way. We just felt like we had to get our money's worth. So if you're thinking about Premier, you might not want to book a specialty every night. And I'll talk about the dining and the food in a little bit more in depth, but just know that you can go just a few times and probably be just fine and be very happy in the main dining room. The second week, we had the Plus package. So we felt like the fact that it covered the gratuities and most of the drinks, including quite a great selection of cocktails, was enough for us. We thought this was the sweet spot of value for our family. I had a little bit of FOMO and I missed that upcharge Premier package a couple of times when I was looking at bar menus and I would see something that was only offered on the Premier menu. But otherwise, I think for $60 a day for all that you get, this is a really compelling package, and I wish more cruise lines would offer this because they give you so much for that particular price. So that leads me to talk a little bit more about the food on board Discovery Princess. Week 1, as I mentioned, we did a lot of specialty. We had Rudy's, the seafood restaurant, twice, which was absolutely incredible with impeccable service. And if you like seafood, this is a great place to go. We did the steakhouse, Crown Grill twice, and that was great too. If you can, ask for a booth on your reservation. It's a little bit more intimate and cozy up against those windows, and all of the food is excellent, the steak, the starters, and the desserts. And then we also did Sabatini's, the Italian trattoria, twice. I love this Sabatini's restaurant, but of all places, you are gonna get stuffed at Sabatini's. It is a multi-course meal. One thing that's so neat about the Sabatini's on this ship is that it has gorgeous ocean views and it's kind of open to the piazza, so you feel like you're involved in the hustle and bustle, but some of the seating is right up against the windows and it's very romantic and pretty. But after a week of dining and doing all of that specialty food, we were ready just to settle into kind of a normal eating schedule in the main dining room for our second week. So we enjoyed the same table with the same servers all 7 nights of that second week. The pretty ocean views, that intimate service that Princess is so known for, made it an exceptional experience. Now, here's a tip for you. This is what we did on our cruise. On the first day, Princess, and some other cruise lines as well, they offer office hours, if you will, in one of the specialty restaurants where you can go and you can check on your table assignment. And we went and we talked to the maitre d' and we said, we just want a nice, private, quiet table and we want to go to the same restaurant at the same time every night. And they were able to accommodate that. If you're not sure when this is happening on the first day of your cruise, check your patter or go to guest services and ask them. We just enjoyed every single entree, every single appetizer, and every dessert we had that week. And I think Discovery Princess is killing it with their main dining room food, especially at dinner. Now, the buffet was outstanding too, and we ate there a lot. They had a fantastic salad bar. They had a taco bar, and we ended up making like taco salads out of the taco bar. They have freshly baked breads and pastries that taste like a Parisian cafe. Really, you guys, it was outstanding. Now, the dinner theme there changes at night, and the selection is not just good, it feels like it's never ending. There are so many stations, so many aisleways, you almost have to do some laps around the buffet restaurant before you decide what you want. This was some of the best food I have ever enjoyed on a cruise, both in the buffet and the main dining room and the specialty. You guys know that they have that restaurant, Gigi's, the Alfredo's pizza place there. We went there once and we felt like it was good, but it was super busy, so we didn't end up going back, but we did stop by and get some poolside pizza a few times. The food though, 10 out of 10 entire time. Excursions. This is a big one. I want to spend some time here. We did 4 excursions over the 2-week period of time that we were on Discovery Princess. 3 of them were with Shore Excursions Group, and 1 we booked directly with Princess Cruises. And I'll tell you why I booked that tour with Princess in just a few minutes. We've got to talk about our first ever float plane ride to the Taku Lodge. This was one that we booked with Princess Cruises, and the reason that we did the float plane in Juneau with Princess is because I was very nervous to do a float plane. There have been some things that have happened over the years, accidents with in the Misty Fjords and things like that, that just made me a little bit nervous. So we wanted to book it directly with the cruise line. So this float plane ride that we took went to the Taku Lodge. To get there, you fly over 5 glaciers, including the Norris and Taku glaciers. Now, my son, you guys, he got to ride co-pilot on the way there. And I gotta tell you, I had to get the tissues out of my purse. My husband and I looked at each other and we were so touched by this moment. You see, our son has a love for aviation, and getting to sit up in that cockpit with the pilot and ride in the front of the plane was a very special moment for him, but it was an emotional moment for me, knowing I may only have him at home for just a few more years. Can anybody relate to that feeling? Oof, that was an emotional moment for me on this cruise. So the ride in the airplane was so cool. You have a safety briefing and every single seat is a window seat. There's some narration from the pilot and a recording that plays so that you can get all of the history of the area and learn about every single glacier that you're flying over. You can tell when you're in this plane too that everybody's just kind of processing what they're experiencing on this flight. Everyone's kind of quiet and just glued to looking out the window. Now, when we got to the lodge, we immediately met Hans. Hans is a bear who makes occasional appearances and likes to lick the salmon drippings off of the sand that falls down in the barbecue. That was wild, seeing such a big bear right when we got to the lodge. Apparently, he's a semi-regular visitor. Just across the bay, you could see these breathtaking views of the nearby glacier. Then it was time for the amazing lunch that they make for you at the Taku Lodge after you fly there. They have salmon, beans, freshly made coleslaw, baked apples, and homemade bread. You can also buy beer and other drinks, and they serve the drinks with ancient ice from the east and west twin glaciers. The food was so good, you can go have seconds, and they explain to you a little bit about the food. Everything is house made, and it just tastes next level different. After lunch, we went on a couple of short hikes. It was an unreal experience for the whole family to be on this remote property, and I highly recommend, you guys, that you book this through your cruise line. It's so fun. Just look for the Taku Lodge Floatplane Glacier, all of those words, and you can find it. In Ketchikan, we had such an incredible time at the Zipline Adventure Park, which we booked through Shore Excursions Group. So we usually look for adventure type things and tours that are going to be less crowded than some of the others in Ketchikan, so we can get out and enjoy the beautiful Tongass National Forest there. Such a great outdoor lover's paradise. So our shore excursion started with a scenic drive over to Nudson Cove, and our guides got me and the boys all set up with our safety gear. Then it was time for the zip lining itself, and it was so fun, but it was not too scary for a first timer. So if you're thinking about this and you've never ziplined before, this is a good one. We glided through these old growth cedars. We even did zipline karaoke where they tell you to sing a song at the top of your lungs as you fly across. And we had these amazing ocean views when we got to the end and soared over the ocean. It was so cool. Then afterwards, we got to walk along the beach, check out some marine life. Like I said, this tour is great for zipline beginners. They have these state-of-the-art braking systems that require you to not hand brake. You don't have to stop yourself, and that's why it's such an easy and smooth ride and good for folks who have never done it before. We always love that Shore Excursions Group guarantees that they're going to have you back to the ship on time, puts your mind at ease, and makes you feel confident about booking your own tours. And of course, I'm going to link to that one. It was awesome and something so different that we're glad that we did. Now, we visited Skagway twice when we were on these two cruises. And for the first week in Skagway, we wanted to go up the White Pass, but take it a little farther. So we crossed into the Yukon and booked a Yukon tour. It was like a small group bus tour. There were all of these photo stops. There were even these fascinating sand dunes. And you guys, for the first time ever, we actually saw snow when we were in Alaska. We got to see Emerald Lake, which is kind of green from all of the calcium carbonate, and we went to this place called Caribou Crossing for lunch. They have a little zoo there, lots of other animals, and there's sometimes some racing dogs there. Sometimes you might even get to see puppies there as well. The coolest part of the stop, though, in my opinion, the stops, was this museum that had animals to scale. We saw so much in under 6 hours on this visit to Skagway, and it was neat to be able to see the train. You could see the White Pass rail going by you at certain points, but to be on an independent and sort of small group tour. The sand dunes were just otherworldly. We stopped at a lake and got to throw rocks, and seeing the snow, being up that high where you got to see snow, was just so cool. So for our second visit to Skagway, we had to do the OG thing that you do there, which is the White Pass and Yukon Route Rail. This tour is so relaxed, you guys, and every single car has a restroom, making it super comfortable for you if you just want to chill out for a few hours. You're going to board the train and learn all about the Gold Rush history. There were lots of challenges and triumphs, and the amazing staff is going to walk through and narrate and talk to you all about it. Now, this is a place that our family cherishes. You might remember that many years ago, I think it was like 2017, we got to do the White Pass Rail. Our son was a lot younger. We got to interview the conductor and do this for the first time. So we wanted to come back and do it again. And I have to tell you guys, it was just as magical as the first time. And for the second time on this back-to-back cruise, you guys, we even got a little bit of snow at the higher elevations in late May. So cool. We loved going outside on the platform during this 40-mile round trip that takes you about 3 hours. It's a nice break if you want to get some fresh air. You can stand outside, take your cameras. They let you do that whenever it's safe. We went past Bridal Veil Falls, Inspiration Point, and Dead Horse Gulch, and around all kinds of bridges and tunnels. I don't even think my husband ever came inside. I think he stood out on the platform pretty much the entire time. But if you don't want to do that, if you don't want to go outside or the weather is cold or wet, you can just sit in the warm, cozy train car and look as all of these mountains and glaciers and gorges and waterfalls and tunnels and trestles go by. They also have accessible cars with lifts And it's really convenient because your train picks you up right at your cruise ship dock. You guys, if you do just one thing in Skagway, please, please, please do the White Pass Rail. It is a magical experience. Let's talk a little bit about the weather on this cruise. You guys, I don't know what's going on this year, but it's been a really cold and wet season in Alaska. I'm talking to people who have had sunny, warm, and great trips, but I'm also talking to people who have been soaked through their clothes numerous times. As you saw from our excursions, we saw snow, and I don't think I've ever seen snow before. But the moral of the story, the reason I'm telling you this about the weather is because one of my new must-do advice points for new Alaska cruisers is you've got to pack waterproof layers and waterproof shoes. So that means like a waterproof jacket with a hood is a must. Make sure that you don't take a jacket that can be soaked through because it can happen. It's simply required. And probably some waterproof shoes. You don't need fancy hiking boots, but you got to have something that's going to repel that rain so you don't get cold. Oh, and motion sickness medication is also great. We had some bumpy seas on this one during times that we were going out in the open seas, and I ran out of my chewables, so I'll make sure to pack lots of that in the future. Now, I mentioned briefly that we did a back-to-back cruise here. I have a full video on how a back-to-back cruise works, but I want to give you just a couple quick points in case you're wondering. So from cruise 1 to cruise 2, we ended up keeping our same medallion, and it worked to let us into our room. Our room stewards were so great on the turnaround day, and we went from our old cabin to our new cabin with very little break in between. In fact, I think we were out of our old cabin at 9 a.m. and in our new cabin by 10:30 a.m. Our room stewards moved our hanging clothes for us, and all we had to do was pack our suitcases with the other stuff, give them to them, and they put everything in the room for us. We did not have to leave the ship to clear customs at all, and I gotta tell you, staying on that ship on the day you usually get off for another cruise is so relaxing. So again, watch that video on the back-to-back cruise experience, but if you can swing it and you've got the vacation time, here are 4 reasons why you might want to try a back-to-back cruise. Number 1, you only have to book 1 flight for 2 cruises. That saves money. Number 2, you're going to relax more deeply. Trust me. Number 3, if the weather's bad one day, there's always next week. And number 4, you can try different cabins. I think that's fun. Easier to stay in the same one if you can. You could work with your travel agent on that, but we enjoyed the 2 different cabins. Now, after the cruise was over, really on the last day, we were offered something called Port Valet. Guys, it's this really great free service. Have you heard about this? In Seattle, where the Port of Seattle subsidizes this program, where they will take your luggage the night before the cruise and not just put it in the terminal, but they're going to check your bags all the way to the airport and onto the aircraft to your home destination. This was a wonderful and relaxing way to end the cruise. Here's how it works. They're going to send you paperwork. In the middle of your cruise, you need to opt in to Port Valet. If you opt in, they're going to give you special luggage tags, and they're going to print your boarding passes for you for your flight and bring them to you. You can still check in for your flight on your own, on your app on the phone, but they're going to give those to you as well. Your luggage will go all the way to the airport, checked onto the plane, and home. This is good for people who know you're going to keep your same flight, but if you're the kind of person who does last-minute flight changes the morning of, don't do Port Valet. It's an awesome service. Now, here are 2 things I wish I could have changed on this particular cruise. I didn't talk much about the glacier days on this cruise because the truth is I didn't really get to enjoy the glaciers as much as I wanted to. On this itinerary, you go to the glacier around 6 o'clock in the morning. And while I think glacier viewing is absolutely a must-do for any cruise, and if your glacier visit is early in the morning, I think you should wake up to do it. I personally prefer when you're in the glacial passage just a little bit later in the day, even like 9 a.m. I think it's a little bit hard when you're doing all these shore excursions to wake up that early to enjoy it. So the second week, I skipped it. I needed the sleep so badly, and I didn't enjoy the glacier time. Again, that is a common thing in Alaska. This has nothing to do with Discovery Princess itself. It's just something you should watch for if you think that that's going to bother you. The second thing that wasn't ideal was the late night stop in Victoria. While this 7 p.m. to midnight time visit in Victoria is really common and a lot of ships do it, I usually just stay on the ship when it's that late because I don't know what I'm going to do at 7 or 8 o'clock at night in Victoria. In my opinion, these are small things and they're not really unique to this ship. But if they're going to bother you, you need to probably look very closely at that itinerary and change it up. You guys, this cruise was absolutely amazing for our family. We made memories to last a lifetime. There were so many moments where I just felt so deeply moved by where I was. It just never gets old to me. If you're considering Alaska, please book it. It's just magical. It's so deeply a part of us now, and it moves me to visit there time and time again. Some other videos you might like if you liked this one. Our ship tour is coming for Discovery Princess a bit later. We have that video about back-to-back cruising. We made a current video on Alaska cruise mistakes you need to avoid. And after the cruise, I also made an Alaska cruise outfits video that shows what I packed versus what I really wore. I'm also going to link to last year's excursions that we did in Alaska so you have more choices. Let me know in the comments if you're planning a trip to Alaska and what you're most excited about. And until next time, we'll see you on the high seas.